Good morning, Rebecca Vigus, the writer whisperer here from a very sunny yet chilly South Central Kentucky. It was 39 degrees at 8 o'clock this morning. So I'm guessing maybe if I'm lucky, it's 40, but I'm not holding my breath. it Autumn is finally arriving in this part of the country. I don't get the beautiful fall colors that you get in the north. It does not get cold enough here for that. And so I miss the fall colors. Um, oh, which reminds me, I should tell you, there will be no tea at 10 on Friday. I will be traveling north to Michigan on Friday and will be in my car, not conducive to doing tea at anything, let alone 10. By 10, I should be pretty close to Ohio, if not into Ohio. This is going to be a quick weekend. I'm spending the weekend at my daughter's, just outside Lansing. And on Saturday at 9 o'clock, I have to be at my sister's just north of Flint. My youngest sister is flying in from Arizona. My daughter's going with me. One of my nieces is going with me. And I don't know yet if my brother is coming up from North Carolina, but we are going north to Gaylord, Michigan to scatter the rest of my parents' ashes. And then that will be Saturday and Sunday. I will be heading back home at the crack of dawn or before. Usually it's before. It is about a 7-hour drive. And that includes a breakfast stop. And depending on how things are going, it might include a drive through for lunch, but I don't generally stop long at lunchtime if I can help it. I prefer to drive early in the morning as the sun rises rather than driving in the evening while the sun is setting. So that's that on Friday. I will not be here. I will be back on Monday. Okay, on to writing and people who are writing. I found The Right to Write, which is an invitation and initiation into the writing life. It is also by Julia Cameron. In fact, today's writing prompt comes from that book. But I also found, because I have multitudes of writers' books, instructions, guidelines, whatever you want to call them. And I was going to look her up and didn't. Give me just a minute before I introduce this next one to reach for my phone that I will not answer, but it should not ring in. And look this person up. Oh, come on. Here she is. Phyllis Say Whitney. Okay. Some of you may know her and some of you may never have heard of her, which is a sin. You need to know Phyllis A. Whitney. She was born September 9th, 1903. She was 105 years old when she died. She was born in Japan to American parents and spent her early years in Asia. This is a photo of her not one of the last ones taken, I am sure. Um, she was an American mystery writer of more than 70 novels. A rarity for her genre, she wrote mysteries for both juvenile and adult markets, many of which feature exotic settings. Although she was often described as a Gothic novelist, a review in the New York Times even dubbing her the Queen of American Gothics, Whitney claims she hated the title. She preferred to say that she wrote romantic novels of suspense. And let me tell you, she's good at it. She was awesome at suspense. In her 1961 book, Mystery of the Haunted Pool, won an Edgar Award from Mystery Writers of America for Best Juvenile Novel. She duplicated the honor in 1964 with The Mystery of the Hidden Hand. In 1988, the MWA gave her a Grand Master Award for Lifetime Achievement. In 1990, she received a Lifetime Achievement Award from Romance Writers of America. She died of pneumonia at age 104 on February 8th, 2008. Some of her books, and she started writing as early as 1941. I don't see any earlier than that. A Place for Anne, A Star for Ginny, A Window for Julie, Red is for Murder, reissued as The Red Carnelian. I read The Red Carnelian. It was written in 1943 as Red is for Murder, reissued in 1965 as The Red Carnelian. 1945, The Silver Inkwell. 1947, A Guide to Writing Juvenile Fiction. 1947, Willow Hill. 1948, Ever After. And it goes on and on and on. If we get into some of these a little farther on, like after I was born, I've read The Quicksilver Pool. Thunder Heights. I've read that one. I think I read The Secret of the Tiger's Eye, but I'm not sure. Hang on. Because while these are, I've read Columbella. That was probably the first book I read of hers, and that was written in 1966. I read it when I was probably 14. I went through because it lists her books in the front of her writing guide. Let's see, what did I check off? Spindrift, The Turquoise Mask, Snowfire, Listen for the Whisper, Lost Island, Emerald, Silver Hill, Columbella, Black Amber, Thunder Heights, Sky Cameron, The Quicksilver Pool, and Silverword. I'm sorry. But she's got novels for young people and mysteries for young people. And then 2 textbooks, Guide for Writing Fiction. Oh, wait, that's the one I have. And Writing Juvenile Stories and Novels. I don't have that one. Okay, so you have seen some of the books I have. I'm not going to go on and read more about her. I don't know if it says anything about her personal life, other than she was born in Yokohama, Japan. She died in Faber, Virginia. Um, gives references. The article in the New York Times and an archive copy of when she died. Um, but it doesn't say anything about her personal life at all. So that's a Wikipedia brief on Phyllis A. Whitney. Um, I grew up on her novels. They were outstanding. I had a friend in high school who said, "Oh, I never read them all. I read the first 2 chapters and then I read the end. And then I write my book report." And I'm going, "Why would you do that? There are such wonderful books. Why would you skip all the important parts?" Obviously, we did not have to write a chapter by chapter review of the book, which probably would have turned me off to book reports forever. But I read the whole book. And no, I did not read the endings first. I tried that just once, ruined the whole book because I already knew what was going to happen. And that for me is not a thing you want to do. I want to try and guess what's going to happen, especially in a suspense. So there is that. When I think of Gothic writers of historical romance with suspense, I think of Georgette Heyer out of the UK. Her novels are definitely Gothic. They're set back in time, whereas Phyllis A. Whitney wrote for the time she lived in. Um, she wrote of modern times. I didn't look to see when her last book was written. I'm sure if you go to her website, which I believe is phyllisawhitney.com, you will find what you are looking for. I just plugged in her name and got what Wikipedia had. There may be more. I do know that she was honored several times and that she did not like being called a Gothic writer. Um, she wrote romance with some suspense or mystery. She was not a Gothic writer, not by the terms. And Gothic does not mean dressed in black, black fingernails, the dark eyeshadow that you see kids running around in today. It was a time period. Um, I would say 1800s, and it preceded the Victorian era, which came in the late 1800s, early 1900s, or mid 1800s to the early 1900s. It was quite the thing. The Gothic romance had all the finery of that 16th, 17th century, 18th century clothing, the chivalry, all the balls and things. And it was really upper crust. It was the era of Jack the Ripper, things like that. So, It's not the goth that we see now, it's gothic, and there's a difference, a huge, huge difference. The attire then was not what our goth kids are wearing. And don't get me wrong, I don't have a problem with kids being goth or anything like that. Um, but I need you to know that there's a wide variety of people out there who are giving writers opportunities. Judy Miller, Bonnie Neubauer, Julia Cameron, Phyllis A. Whitney, Bob Mayer, Lee Laughlin, and where's the other one that it's buried down here? Joel Salinger or Saltzman. All of these, you can learn from them. I've read this book twice. If you can talk, you can speak. A proven program to get you writing and keep you writing. Maybe that's why I keep going back to it. It's like a close friend. And maybe we'll pull some of his writing exercises. It's like in his second chapter, he says, are you ready for this? If at first you don't succeed, don't be surprised. For some reason, everyone thinks I should know how to write. No one thinks I should know how to play the piano. But when it comes to writing, I should know how to do it. What if I told you a story about a man who buys a piano, sits down to play for the very first time, and is shocked when it doesn't sound like Arthur Rubinstein? I don't understand, he complains. I've listened to lots of music. I should know how to play the piano. Ridiculous, you say? Yet, there you are, banging away at your typewriter. You're mortified when your work isn't as good as Ernest Hemingway. Hell, it isn't as good as Ernest Goes to Camp. Worse yet, you start blaming yourself, beating yourself up for not getting it perfect the first time out. Suddenly, hammering away at you is a tiny voice that keeps growing louder, an inner monologue that keeps telling you, I can't do this. I don't know how to write. I'll never get this right. I'll lose my job, my house, my family's going to abandon me. I'll starve to death, die in a ditch, and no one will ever care. Is that where you're at? Because you're wrong. Writing takes practice. They give you the basics in first grade. They have you write a sentence. The cat ran. Try not to get excited because that's how simple the sentences are. That's where you start. You take the cat ran and you tell me what color cat. Maybe you tell me it's an orange tabby cat. Why did it run? It ran after the mouse scurrying along on the floor. Ooh, you still have the cat ran. Now we know what kind of cat, and now we know why it ran. What happened next? Did it catch the mouse? Did they become friends? Did he bat the mouse around and kill it? We don't know. You haven't written the story yet. That's where you start. Start with simple and build on it and build on it and practice building on it until you've actually got a story. And it's your very own story, even though it started with the cat ran. How absolutely amazing is that you can just take 3 words and build a story? Yeah. Take 1 word. Go to oneword.com and get your 1 word for the day and start. Write a sentence about that word. Let it mull for a little bit. What can you add to your sentence? It's all in how much you practice. Today's writing prompt comes from The Right to Write. And I just pulled this one. I don't know, it's after it's probably the 2nd chapter. So, the idea for this one is to clear away all the debris that stands between you and the page. Set aside 1/2 hour. Go to a cafe or a coffee shop with writing paper. Writing paper would be 8.5 by 11. Okay. Buy yourself a cup of coffee, tea, soda, mineral water, cocoa, latte, whatever it is you're going to drink, and write the following exercise. Step 1. What are your hidden associations with the term writer? Fill in the following as rapidly as possible. Number your paper from 1 to 10. And each sentence is going to start out writers are. Writers are what? 10. You need 5 and 5 more of what writers are. Don't think about it. It's just, what do you think of when somebody says writers are what? Got your 10? Now, step 2. Convert the negative associations to positive affirmations. For example, if you wrote writers are broke, convert it to writers are solvent. Wait, that's totally different. If you've written writers are crazy, it converts to writers are sane. Writers are loners converts to writers have good friends. What are writers to you? And then convert the negatives into positives. For the next week, write out each of your new positives 5 times a day. First thing in the morning, at the end of your morning pages, or at the beginning, whichever works, somewhere in the middle, coffee break, at work, write them again. Now I've got them done twice. Lunchtime, just before you get up to go, write them again. Get back a little early, write them again. Or save them and write them for afternoon coffee break. Write them again before you go to bed. 5 times every day. It's going to change your thinking about writers. It's going to change your thinking about what writers do, what they accomplish, and how they get there. Because you don't wake up and become a writer. That does not happen. I was 10 years old when someone said to me, "With your imagination, I will see you in books." I have no idea what I had written. I never saved the paper. But I believed him. I spent the next year writing nonsense poetry. I don't have any clue what it was he thought that he would see me in books. But I knew on that day I was going to be a writer. 10 years old. And your future's already plotted. And here I am, 57 and a half years later. I have 13 books done. I have 5 I'm working on. None of them will come out before 2022. But since March of 2020, I've put out 4 books. That's kind of amazing in and of itself. So here we are, and that's what it is. Work on this. Work on your writing every day. Even if it's not ready to be published, work on it. Because you all have a story to tell. And I can't tell your stories. Happy writing. See you tomorrow.